Grüß, willkommen in einem aufregendes video. Welcome to another exciting video, in this case episode 4 of my equipment series of videos. This video will be covering French World War II heavy tanks and other miscellaneous armoured fighting vehicles. What I'm attempting to do in this video is to provide an overview of the armoured vehicles of the French Army in 1940, in this particular case specifically heavy tanks and miscellaneous vehicles. You'll quickly notice a large number of these vehicles, particularly miscellaneous, were built in very small numbers, often only one, which indicates it was a prototype. Many vehicles were also upgunned during their life. Finally, you'll also notice that starting from 1936, the French created a huge number of different prototype vehicles as they were attempting to experiment their way to the correct answer for modern combat. Let's now start with the vehicles. The Char 2C, also known as the FCM-2C, was a French post-World War I heavy tank land ship, later considered a super heavy tank. 10 tanks were built in 1921, although remaining operational, their value at the start of World War II was largely propagandistic. The Char 2C had a loaded weight of 69 tonnes, partly because of its armour, which was among the thickest of World War I era tanks, but mostly because of its huge size. It was the largest tank ever taken into production. With the tail fitted, the hull was over 12 metres long. During the French mobilisation in 1939, all 10 Char 2Cs were activated and put into their own unit, the 51st Battalion de Chars de Combat. However, the French understood these vehicles were of little value, and in an attempted to withdraw them to a safe location. While they did that, they were destroyed. One tank, the Champagne, was captured more or less intact by the Germans and brought to Berlin to be exhibited as a war trophy until it disappeared in 1948. After the war, rumours circulated this vehicle had been transported to the Soviet Union. The Char B1 was a specialised breakthrough vehicle, originally conceived as a self-propelled gun with a 75mm howitzer in the hull. Later, a 47mm gun in the turret was added to the design to allow it to function also as a char de bataillon, or a battle tank. This was now intended to fight enemy armour and equip the armoured divisions of the infantry arm. The original Char B1 had frontal and side armours up to 40mm thick. The vehicle had a fully traversed APX-1 turret with a 47mm L as 27.6 SA-34 gun. This had comparatively poor anti-tank capability. The 30 armoured piercing shells, APHEs, rounds among the 50 the tank carried, had a maximum penetration of only 25mm. In addition, it was armed with a 75mm ABS 1929 SA-35 gun mounted in the right-hand side of the turret front and two 7.5mm machine guns, one in the hull and one in the turret. A total of 34 vehicles were built from December 35 until July 37. They had serial numbers 102 to 135. Chassis number 101 was kept apart to build the Char B1 Tur prototype. 4 of the original Char B1 vehicles were upgraded to use the SA-35 47mm anti-tank gun, leaving only 30 vehicles equipped with the SA-34 47mm anti-tank gun. Some sources indicated only one vehicle was upgraded in this manner. The SA-35 47mm anti-tank gun had a slightly longer caliber length, L32, instead of the L30 of the SA-34. I'm uncertain what improvement this represented based on the sources I have. However, I suspect the main improvement was that the French used a new shell. Instead of an APHE shell, which only had a penetration of 25mm, they used a APC shell, armoured piercing composite shell, which had a 45mm penetration rate. So I'm not sure if it was the actual gun or the ammo that improved the anti-tank capability of this weapon. The Char B1 Biz was an upgraded variant with thicker armour at 60mm max, 55 at the sides, and an APX-4 turret with a longer barrel L32 47mm SA-35 to give the tank improved anti-tank capability. It was the main production type from the 8th of April 1937 until June 1940. 369 units were delivered for a total order of 1,144 with serial numbers 2001 to 569. Before the war, production was slow. Only 129 had been delivered by the 1st of September 1939. The monthly delivery was still not more than 15 in December. It peaked in March 1940 with 45 units being delivered. That pretty much sums up the heavy tanks. Now let's move to the other or miscellaneous armoured fighting vehicles. The French developed a surprising wide range of interesting vehicles, including assault guns, tank destroyers and fully tracked armoured personnel carriers. In most cases their numbers were very low, or they were produced in low numbers, and many were only prototypes. But if the French had fought a long drawn-out war, it would have been interesting to see where these designs would have gone to. The FT-75BS was a self-propelled gun with a short-barreled Blockhaus Schneider 75mm gun. 40 were produced, 39 by the end of World War I. There's no reliable information about participation of this self-propelled gun during 1940, but some vehicles took part in battles in North Africa. 2 self-propelled guns were captured by the Allies during Operation Torch. The Saumur SAU-40/70 is a French self-propelled gun or assault gun. It was the result of a project for a self-propelled gun to support light mechanised units, designed from 1935 through 1937 on the basis or on the chassis of the Saumur S35 vehicle. The design featured a modified upper part of the armoured hull with a 75mm casemate model 1929 gun. The top of the cabin featured a single-seated turret with a 7.5mm machine gun. The mass production of the SAU-40 was requested in October 1939, a prototype, and according to some historical sources, 4 more pilot SAU-40s were sent to the front line and used in action in June 1940, more as an act of desperation than any kind of coherent plan. The Saumur SAU-40/47 is a French tank destroyer. The SAU-40 was developed as a self-propelled gun on the basis or on the chassis of the Saumur S35, but later converted to a tank destroyer, which replaced the original 75mm gun with a 47mm anti-tank gun. The one confirmed vehicle was a prototype only and likely never saw any kind of action. The AMR-35/25 ZT3 was the anti-tank variant of the AMR-35 reconnaissance light tank, equipped with a 25mm SA-35 anti-tank gun. The AMR-35 ZT2, or ZT3, sometimes the sources get a bit confusing, was classed as a tank hunter and armed with a 25mm SA-35 in an APX-5 turret with a secondary 7.5mm coaxial machine gun. Only 10 were built up to 1940. The AMR-35 ZT2 and also ZT3 were used alongside machine gun-armed ZT1s in the motorised dragoon regiments to give them armoured and mobile anti-tank escort support. I've mentioned a bit about these two vehicles in my video on light tanks. The AMC 35/75 ACG2 was the tank destroyer variant of the AMC 35 light tank. The AMC 35 ACG2 was a light tank designed in 1934, manufactured by Renault. It was based on the fully tracked light tank chassis and was used from 1935 to 1945. It was commonly called a Renault Type ACG/2. Sources indicated either 30 or only one vehicle was built. I suspect around about 30 vehicles were built if it was in use between 35 and, well, until 45, or at least 40 anyway. The Lafley W15TCC, derived from the W15T vehicle, was a vehicle based on a similar 6x6 chassis configuration with a pair of rollers at the front and another in the middle between the two axes. It was a tank destroyer. Both rollers were not suspended and only there to provide additional ground pressure when crossing trenches or high obstacles. This vehicle was the result of an idea of the current General Tank Inspector, Kellier. Rather than towing the 47mm anti-tank gun, the anti-tank gun was better carried, according to him anyway, directly on the cargo bay, turned to the rear. This conversion was ordered for trials early in 1940 by the General Staff to provide a mobile anti-tank capability to motorised divisions. After successful trials and in the camp, the conversion was only improved on May 17, and from the 24th of May to June 17th, 62 TCCs were delivered of the 100 that were originally ordered. The Lorraine 38L was a development of the 37L, which added a trailer and created a tracked APC for 10 men. when the Lorraine 38L likely, while the Lorraine 38L likely did not operate as an infantry combat vehicle, that is, it wasn't expected for the troops to fight from the vehicle, this vehicle was nonetheless a fully tracked armoured personnel carrier. And so we come to a close of my episode 4 of my equipment series of videos, in this case French World War II heavy tanks and other armoured or miscellaneous armoured vehicles. Alle guten Dinge, kommen zu einem Ende.